Welcome to the Higher Self Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to help you unravel anything keeping you from a life of true abundance, joy, and happiness, which is your birthright. Each week, we'll bring in different guests specifically tailored to help you on your journey to discovering your higher self. Whether it's spirituality, business, finances, health, or relationships, there are no topics that are off limits. So get ready and enjoy this week's episode on the Higher Self. Welcome to this week's episode of the Higher Self. Man, oh man, it's been a couple of fantastic days. We were just wrapping up with the Inner Circle Intensive, and many of you just joined me this morning in what we call Power Week. It's the first time we ever allow, some of you podcast listeners and people on social media that aren't a part of our tribe or inner circle to take a part in some of our classes. And today I led you through an hour-and-a-half conversation on finances and how to gain financial freedom. And we actually went deep with it because we showed you how money is simply energy. It's a vibration, and the vibration and the thoughts and the feelings and emotions that you carry inside of yourself are the exact thoughts, feelings, and emotions that block you from true abundance and from ever being free, And I thought of having a conversation with you on this week's episode, one-on-one, me and you, on something that happened in my life and in my financial life that helped change my life forever and helped shape the way that I live my life. And as a result, I truly believe helped me gain financial freedom. So I hope that this gives you a little bit of insight into your journey and how maybe you might be blocking financial success from your life. It's interesting because so often people say to me, I like what you do because you have a part of what you do that is spiritual and a part of what you do is financial. And I first want to start off by sharing with all of you that it is all one. There are three energies of human mastery, and those three energies are finances, right, or money, food or health, and relationships or sex. Right? These are the three energies of human mastery. But what encompasses all of those is our spiritual journey, right? And so in particular, today what I want to do is I want to share with you the story. It was when I was first starting my business, right? My very first week within the creation of my real estate company, which many of you know, I used to be in real estate. And one of the things that I noticed in the real estate industry there in the area that I worked was it was very cutthroat. Nobody wanted to share ideas. Nobody was open to sharing with others what worked with them. And quite frankly, in the brokerage industry, everybody, put money first. So I saw that, and I saw that there were several agents who were very mean to employees, very mean to people. And they shifted the energy in the office. Now, I didn't know anything about energy back then. I hadn't started my spiritual journey yet, and yet I still understood some basics about life, and that was that you have to put your values and your principles above money, because your values and your principles are what are going to dictate and determine what it is that and who it is that you become in life. And so I told myself, and I made myself a promise, right? And if you've ever started a business, you'll hear things like you want to have a mission statement or an objective that you want to have for the business. And what I did instead was I identified who we are as an organization, and then identified who our ideal agent was in the brokerage business, right? And hang with me because I'm going to show you how this relates to you. So under the statement, who we are, I could still remember it. It's been a couple of years, but I remember it said, we are a place of change. We're a place of breakthroughs. We're a place of growth. We take people who can't see and we help them to see, because once they start to see, then they can start to believe. And once they start to believe, they can start to create the life of their dreams. And it's so interesting how that was like my definition of who we were as an organization, as a real estate company. And I think that we do that here today in what we do with the podcast and social media and Awaken, right? And it's also an example of how once you really identify what your purpose is, you don't never work a day in your life. It's just an extension of who you are. But then the next part, and this is a big part, and this is a big part for those of you that work with clients. This is a big part for those of you that work, in any sort of capacity with other human beings. You have to declare the type of human being that you want to work with. Because if you can declare and set a standard for the type of human being that you want to work with or be in business with, and you can hold that standard, then that standard calibrates at a certain energy. And that energy will attract to you more people like that standard, and it will actually repel or block you from or keep away people that don't meet up with or vibrate from that energy. And even though they might be in your life for a small period of time, eventually they'll find their way out. And this is how you keep a clean, stress-free life, is by making sure that you are clearly aligned with the people that you will allow yourself to work with, and then the people that you don't. So in this case, I wanted to make sure that we attracted open people who were kind, who were honest, who were team players. I remember writing who walk around with a smile on their face and love in their hearts, right? I wanted to create a different kind of company. And I promised myself one thing, and this I never wrote down. I told myself, no matter what happens, no one will ever mistreat anybody in my company. I don't care if they're a top producer. I don't care if I don't care if the last dollar for the business is dependent on someone that is mean to someone in our business. I promised myself right then and then, I will never make money the priority. I will make people a priority, or the priority. And so sure enough, when you have the guts to stand up for what you believe in, and when you have the guts to tell the universe that this is what you want, the universe will always find a way to test you. So sure enough, I promised myself, I said, no matter what happens, I don't care if it's the number one producer in the company, I will not stand for them mistreating any of our people or any other agents, because we want to have a great environment. Well, true story, 1.5 years into the creation of the business, we were a small company back then. I wouldn't say that we were struggling, because I went out there and I worked hard doing what it is that I teach people to do, which is spend 80% of my time generating new business. So sure enough that we were 1.5 years into the business, and I had an employee back then. Her name was Lauren, right? And Lauren, we found her on an ad, and she became my executive assistant at the time, right? It was my first hire in the company. And sure enough, we had a top producer. This individual was the top producer in the entire company, right? We will name him Tim. Okay, it's not his real name. So if you're out there and you're a real estate agent named Tim, I'm not speaking about you, so it's not the real name. So anyhow, Tim was the top producer, and the reality is that in the brokerage business, you're dependent upon the agents producing sales. And then you make a small portion off of whatever it is that the agents produce. And the way that you grow is by having more agents produce more. So we were really, really good, and we became known for helping the agents to produce more business. Well, one day I walk into the office. and lo and behold, my brand new assistant at the time is crying. Lauren is crying, and she's doing one of those cries, right? So she's really hurt. So something is really bothering her, right? And I go, Lauren, what's wrong? And she won't tell me. She won't tell me out of fear. And if you're a business owner, or if you are not a business owner and you're an employee, you got to remember that the energy of fear will always block you. It will always block you from speaking your truth, because it wants to stay comfortable. It wants to stay comfortable. And as a matter of fact, the energy of fear will actually keep you in the very pain that you're living in, because it would rather stay comfortable and living in pain than be courageous and step out of that pain. This is just the way that our subconscious mind works. And this is the way that our lower self works. And this is the way that our lower self keeps us in the box that we're living in, which is the same exact box that keeps us from ever having financial freedom, the health that we deserve, or attracting the partner that we truly are trying to call in our soul's mate. And so she was afraid to tell me. So I walk up to her and I go, Lauren, what's wrong? She says, nothing. And, she's in front of other people, right? She was in this little cubicle. I'll never forget. I go, come in. And she walks into my office and I go, all right, tell me what's wrong. And she says, I told Agent Tim, I thought it would be really nice to like buy him a little gift card. So I walked over to Starbucks and I bought him a little gift card for $25 to say thank you, because I thought it would be nice to recognize him for all of his production. And I go, yeah, what's wrong with that? And she's crying, right? And she goes, I handed him the gift card and he tells me so rudely, he says, do you think this is all I'm worth? Is this all I'm worth is $25? And he threw it at me. He threw it at me and he told me to get out of the office. And I go, are you kidding me? She goes, no, but don't say anything because I know he's the top producer and I don't want to cause any problems, so forth and so on. And another note, especially for you entrepreneurs and you business owners, listen to me carefully. Not only will the universe test you, but the energy of your vision will test you, and your employees are always looking, and your people, your team members, your family, really, they're always looking. They're always looking to see if you really are about what it is that you say you're about. And in those moments, right, this is when your leadership gets to be developed. This is when your standards gets to be enforced. And this is where you and your truth and your integrity start to form. Because the moment she said that, it's like if something like back here told me very clearly, remember what you said. Remember what you promised when you started the company. You promised that no matter what happened, it didn't matter if it was the top producer. It didn't matter if the company was falling apart. It didn't matter if it was your last dollar that was on the line. You would never allow anyone to mistreat somebody in your office. Because I knew, guys, I knew that if I allowed that once, I knew that that energy would permeate, and I knew that it would send the message to all of the employees and all of the team members that I would never have their back. And you can never get rid of a cancer like that in an organization. And some of you might be feeling these words because some of you have been living in an organization like that, where deep inside, the owner or the manager or the boss don't have your back. And you know what that does in your life. You know how that feels in your life. So sure enough, I go, Lauren, don't worry about this. I got it. I walked over to Agent Tim's office and I said, hey, Agent Tim, come on. He goes, oh, sure. Fantastic. How are you? Broker Danny, right? Of course, to me, he's going to be happy. He's going to be nice. He's going to be kind, right? I said, hey, everything is great. Grab a seat. He goes, okay, great. So what's up? And I go, I want you to pack your stuff and I want you to leave the office right now. And he was in shock. He didn't know why. He didn't know anything. He said, why? He said, because you were rude to Lauren and you mistreated her. And I promised myself that I would never allow that. And right away, I'll never forget this. He goes, well, don't you know who I am? Don't you know what would happen to your business if I leave? And I said, yeah, but I promised myself that it wouldn't matter. And I feel like I attracted this moment right here, to see if I really am about what I say I'm about, to see if my vision and my dream and my standards mean anything to me. And I feel like this is the moment that I'm being tested of this. So it might hurt me. The place might fall apart. I don't know. But what I do know is you got to get out of here. You got to leave, right? You got to deal with it. And so I stayed firm. And sure enough, Lauren was amazed. And by that time, there was actually another 2 or 3 employees. They were amazed and word spread and people were wondering, why did, Tim, the agent, leave? And I called a team meeting. And I said, listen, guys, I promised myself and I promised God, I promised my vision. I said that I would never allow anyone to mistreat anybody. And I want to make sure that you guys all know that if you're here and you are used to mistreating people, it ends here or you end here and you can go somewhere else. And I'll tell you what happened, guys. From that moment on, I really believe that our business was blessed. We became the fastest growing, at that time, real estate company in Southern California. Obviously, if you know my issues, I had my own story and my own issues with ego and hyper competitiveness and so forth and so on. But the one thing that I can say is that we always took care of our people, and we always made sure that our people came first. And we always made sure that they knew that we had their back, and we always made sure that they knew that we had integrity with what we said we were going to do. And to make a long story short, Lauren still works with me. Lauren still works with me. This is 10 years later. She started off as an assistant. She's our chief operating officer at this company now. We have such a good relationship where, like, where I go, she goes, and we're family, And many of you know that company went on to sell 2,500 houses a year. We ended up selling it, and it was a happy ending to that beautiful story. Now, why is this important to you? This is important to you because you have to understand that if you want to change your life, and if you want to change your finances, you have to get very, very clear with who you are and with the people that you are going to allow in your life from this day forward. Because there's certain people that are in your life right now that are a negative energy force. They're abusive, they're mean, they're manipulative, and some of them are don't even know that they're doing it, but they're energetically manipulative. They play with your emotions, and they know what you'll do and won't do, and they tug at the strings of your heart, and they tug at your mind. And you've got to learn how to set boundaries for yourself. Not from a bad energy, but from a loving energy, from an energy that loves you so much that you know what is right and what is wrong. You know what is good for you. You know what you deserve, and you also know what you don't deserve. And test me on this. If you're struggling financially, or if you know people who are struggling financially, it's typically people who have a difficult time upholding boundaries in their personal life. It's typically people who have a difficult time speaking their truth in relationship. It's typically people who have a difficult time setting standards and healthy boundaries of respect, of trust, of integrity in their own life and in their relationship with other human beings. You see, the issue is never the money, my friends. The issue is never the finances. The issue is always the energy that's inside of ourselves. The issue is always the fear that we hold on to. The issue is always those grudges and the unforgiveness that we hold on to. Because what we're holding on to is a backpack of negative energy. And that backpack of negative energy that we hold on to is the very thing that keeps us from creating the financial abundance that we want to have. And you know what the craziest thing is? The craziest thing is that negative energy and that lack of boundaries and that lack of self-respect, it permeates into other areas of your life. Because if you don't know how to stand up for yourself in your workplace, you are going to attract the same type of partner in your relationship. And for some of you, that's hitting home right now because you feel yourself in a space of a lack of power, a lack of integrity in your romantic relationship, the same way that you do in your business or in your job or in your career. And that's when you finally start to understand that you're not a victim of it. You're the one creating of it. You're the one creating it, and you're the one that can change it. And that's where you start to understand the power of what I always teach you, whether it's on our clips, whether it's for those of you coming to Awaken next week in Palm Springs, or for those of you that like to just listen into our podcasts, is you truly are either living in fear and victim energy or love and creator energy. And that powerful word that helps you cross over from one to another, that powerful word is called courage. Courage is the one that takes you away from fear and into love, away from victim and into creator. Because just on the other side of courage is personal responsibility. You see, I had a personal responsibility to stand firm with my vision no matter what the cost was. And if I'm honest, that moment taught me something. It taught me something that I knew, that I now know impacts my life till this day. When I know people are right or circumstances are right or when I think they're wrong, it either is or it isn't. And I was only able to learn that by that lesson that day in the business. And so this week's episode was a reminder that you're the one. A reminder that you're the one that has the control to change the outcomes and the circumstances of your life. And a reminder that it's going to require courage. The courage that you have within your heart to overcome the fear that you have and the story that you've created about what it would mean for you to actually stand up for yourself. And yet that is the same exact fear, that same exact energy that is keeping you from attracting the partner that you want to attract, from attracting the financial freedom that you deserve. And quite frankly, the more that you carry that energy, the more that eventually it turns out impacting your health. This is just the way it works. This is the way that the three energies of human mastery operate together. So I want to give you a little homework assignment this week. And the homework assignment is very simple. Start to write down what the vision that you have for your life is. What do you want each of those areas to look like? And start to write down what the boundaries are that you need to place around your life for each of those areas. And start to write down promises that you have for yourself. Because the moment you write down that promise is the moment that your life starts to change. And get ready, because it's the moment that the universe will test you as well. The test will eventually come, and you'll remember this podcast. You'll remember this moment. You'll remember this moment where you are finally going to have the opportunity to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, and to walk into and stay in your truth. And I promise you, it might be scary, it might be uncomfortable, but the moment that you do, I promise you that just on the other side of that moment is a brand new life for you. And you're the one that attracted it, and you're the one that created it. And as a result, you're the one that gets the benefits and the abundance that flow into your life as a result of standing up for yourself. That's this week's episode of The Higher Self. I hope that it made an impact on you. Next week, we'll be back with another powerful guest. And for those of you joining us at Awaken Palm Springs, it's sold out. I cannot wait to see you there. And for those of you that feel like this message resonated with you and you'd like to come spend 3 days with us at Awaken in Austin, it's November 30th, December 1st and 2nd, and tickets are now on sale. About a quarter of them are already gone. Go to DannyMorel.com/awaken and reserve your seat today. We'll see you then. Thanks for watching this week's episode of The Higher Self. If you heard something in this week's episode that caused you to think maybe, just maybe, there was a higher potential for your life, maybe there was a potential to earn and receive financial freedom, to attract the relationship of your dreams, or to improve your health, that's what we specialize in. We help wonderful human beings like yourself to unravel all of the limiting thoughts, feelings, and emotions that you've been living through so that you can finally tap into your life's truest potential. If you'd like to talk more about that, we invite you to join us on Instagram or Facebook and email us the word "discover more." And when my team sees that, they will reach out to you, send you the details of how we could help you on your pathway to a life of abundance, fulfillment, and creating the absolute life of your dreams. Message us right now the words "discover more" now on Instagram or Facebook, and we'll see you soon.